All right, Mikey, we are live and in living color on this Wednesday morning.
It's a wacky Wednesday, and we're encouraging everyone to drink carbonated beverages or not.
I'm going to start with coffee and I'm going to move over to a carbonated beverage. How's that?
That's a perfectly good plan, and I salute your plan.
Thank you. Although you can find a lot of studies these days that will say that the carbonated beverages aren't good for you,
No, they're not good
but
for you or your bones, apparently.
you can also find out that many things are not good for you.
Could we just make a short list of something that I'm doing currently that is good for me besides talking?
Well, you threw in the besides talking. I was going to say doing this show is probably good for us because I can't imagine how nasty we'd be to people
If we
if
if
we
we if we, if we didn't have to be cordial 3 times a
yeah,
week.
if we didn't spend this hour together every other day,
Hey,
we
I
would
gotta
not.
I gotta go get the car fixed, Mr. Carman, and it's not a minor league thing. It's a major league thing in LA when your air conditioning goes out.
Uh-oh.
That's no good. So what am I facing?
Well, what's it doing? Is it blowing but blowing warm?
Yep.
Well, you probably have to get the system evacuated and recharged.
You don't think it's a failure in a part?
No, how old's your car? What your car is it?
Lexus 206,
Yeah,
20.
those things. I mean, after a while, the gas just gives up. So you got to
Something's got to go.
evacuate the system, or they
Oh,
get a leak. Now if there's a little O-ring in there or something, it's leaking gas that could, so you have to take it to a place that does air conditioning. Um,
you wouldn't go to a regular mechanic?
I would probably go to a place that does heaters, radiators, and air conditioning. They're going to know it better and be less busy. Probably get it um, done for you quicker, and it'll
Hmm.
probably be less money
Wow.
because they're going to know how to diagnose. They're going to know what's wrong right away.
Because they
They
see
see
it
these
every
all
day,
the
all
time.
day.
It's like going to a heart doctor when you're not feeling good. He's going to look at
Uh,
your heart and say, "I know what's wrong."
That's funny. Now, I thought the system was unable due to a failed part to actually cool, but you think that that the gas is leaking to the point where it can't do what it wants to do.
Well, that's the first thing you look at when it's blowing air and the air that it's blowing is blowing warm.
Right.
That's the first thing you look at is the gas, and they can actually tell. There's a little gauge on the top of your air conditioning. Uh, what's the name of the
Compressor.
part? Not the compressor. No, there's a there's a long tube on the outside of the condenser, and in the top it's like where the gas is held, and there's a little bubble in the top of that tube, and they can look at that bubble and they can tell how much gas is in there.
What a world we live in where a bubble reveals gas.
Well, a bubble reveals gas a lot of times, Michael.
Well, damn right.
Usually, it's not under the hood of your car, though. uh, but yeah, there's a little. If you open your hood,
Yes.
the radiator that's right in front is actually a condenser. And usually on that condenser is a long tube on the side of it. On the top of that tube should be a little glass, um, a little thing that looks like a pipe fitting with a piece of glass and a bubble in it.
Hmm.
You wipe that off and you look at the bubble. If the bubble's below the line, you need gas. If it's above the line, you don't need gas. Um, and they can tell that 1, 2, 3 at the mechanic shop.
Done.
Now, if you're really feeling ballsy, you could really do a quien mas mucho macho, and
Oh
you could
dear.
go to the auto parts store and buy yourself a self air conditioning charging kit.
No.
But
No.
yeah, I'm not thinking that's you. I'm thinking that that's not you.
the first thing I get after the kit is the tools that I don't have. Now I haven't fixed anything, but I've spent $200 on my preparation, and I have to get
Yeah,
the right outfit, and a protective covering for the area that I'm going to work on. No,
I can
somehow
send you a pair of overalls
I'm
if
gonna
that'll help.
I'm gonna take it to my guy, the only mechanic I've been going to for like 10 years for a diagnosis and get his idea and his price thing. And if he looks blank, then I'm gonna follow up by where I'm going. I'm going to an air conditioning and heater place.
Yeah, I think that would be yeah, and I didn't ask you that. If you have a mechanic that you know that's a trustworthy and good mechanic, that's the first place you always take.
Well, I've told you about my Japanese friend. We don't even know each other's names because he cannot speak English. His English is so far removed from conversational that we do sign language. He's the guy who called me and asked me to come down to the shop to hold a wrench for him so that he could.
That's the guy you want to. That's the guy you want to talk to.
And I thought, well, how interesting. And
Yeah,
I had to walk both ways because he had my car.
yeah. No, I think that's. I think that when you have a relation like that with your mechanic, yeah, I would take the car right over there and let him look at it
Of course, I
and
didn't know he
change
was
the
asking
car.
me to come down and hold the wrench because I couldn't tell what he was telling me on the phone. I just knew that I had to go down there. When I got there, I said, "What's up?" He said, "Hold this." I'll never forget that. And that was it.
That's something like my father would do. Come down here and hold this thing for me.
Well, I didn't say it on the air, but I'll say it now for you. There's a story that's going to become quite a big story in terms of presidential candidates for election, and that is the Walt Disney Company, who are a big deal in this town, are suing Ron DeSantis as an individual, not just as the governor of Florida, for his intentional interference with their corporate affairs with an intent to do damage, with an intent to do harm, with an intent to limit their First Amendment rights for self-expression. And this could go to the Supreme Court with the level of conflict that we're talking about. The state of
Yeah.
Florida tells the Walt Disney Company what they can do and what they can't do, where they can do it, and how they can run their own corporation, what they can do in Disneyland. They say it's very interesting that you call it Disneyland because the way we look at it, it's Ron DeSantis land, and we're going to do this is going to be a vacation like you've never seen. When you go down the Matterhorn with Ron DeSantis, you know you've been down a mountain. Well, the mountain is now in his corner. What are you going to do with the mountain that just landed on you? And it's the full weight of the Disney Corporation. Show business attorneys have come to town, and man, they can taste the blood.
Oh yeah, yeah. I could only imagine that they're, the if they can find themselves a good restaurant to all sit down in, if they're going to get a back room somewhere, maybe Musso and Frank, they'll go in the
Yeah,
back room at Musso and Frank, and there'll be 25 or 30 of them in there,
for
and
the
their
whole
aggregate
afternoon.
costs of their suits will be
Yep.
more than Ron DeSantis makes in a year.
Remember, this is the guy who looks like Jimmy Hoffa in white go-go boots. It's not a good
Yeah,
look.
yeah. Yeah. I could imagine that there's not enough people. There are more people who make their money from Disney in the state of Florida and in Southern California. I think Disney is the number one employer in Florida, isn't it?
I believe so.
I
Not in
think they are.
California, but
Yeah,
certainly in Florida.
yeah. I think they are the number one employer in Florida. And I think the California State University system is the number one employer in California, if I'm not mistaken.
Because it's a small world, after
Yeah,
all.
yeah. So DeSantis is screwed either way. He's got smart people who got kids that got to take him to Disneyland, or he's got every employee at Disney World pissed off at him. Not to mention the French and the other people that are, from around the world, the Japanese. I mean, this guy's going to create an international incident before he ever declares for president. And I got to be honest with you, from what I'm seeing out of DeSantis out of the last 2 weeks,
He can't do it.
he doesn't know what he's doing.
Nikki Haley, incredibly weak and spineless, and coming down on the side of taking away women's rights because, after all, what good are they? They're not using them. They don't need rights. If you never get out of the kitchen, what do you have to refer to your rights for?
Well, but yet yesterday she made some interesting comments, very unrepublican like comments, Nikki Haley. She said that basically we got to get off our crap with this abortion stuff, and we got to start to understand what is at stake here, and that there has to be a common ground. There has to be a place that we can meet. There has to. I almost had to look at the TV and make sure it was her, that she hadn't been taken possession by somebody. But she's telling Republicans there's got to be a place where we can meet these people and get some kind of consensus as to what's fair for both sides, what works for both sides.
Well, that's an interesting point of view, and it's admirable. It's a little dated coming from a Republican because the organization of the party and the top power brokers within that party have no interest, as we've talked before, Vinny, no interest in governing. They just want the power of holding office so they can swindle people like the Walt Disney Company into kowtowing to their strange and oblong beliefs. Not many
Well,
people have an oblong belief, but I believe the Republican Party has held on to their beliefs to the point where they're now oblong.
they have the record for oblong beliefs. Matter of fact, they have an office of oblong belief in Manassas, Virginia, where you can just go down there and walk in and have all your beliefs.
You know where they make the oblong beliefs now? It's the largest factory for oblong beliefs in the world.
Nowhere.
Give it a thought. Where would it be?
Michigan?
Spolpakia.
Spolpaki. I don't know. I think Spolpaki is busy. You haven't heard much out of Spolpaki lately because they're busy building 66A. You know,
It's a national effort. They got everybody's involved with it. And the first thing they're putting in, just to make sure they have one, is the frontage road. And once they get
they're
that
putting in the
finished,
frontage roads, and then they came up. I don't know. I was reading the Spolpakian Times the other day,
sure you were.
and they came up with a plan because it's not a rich country.
No,
It's a relatively poor country. They have a lot in human spirit, but not a lot in cash.
no.
So they came up with this program that they'll pay you $50. You knock your own house down if it's if it's in the way of the highway.
And can you tell if your house is in the way of the highway? Because they haven't built it yet. It could be
Well,
going
they got a
anywhere.
general idea, so they're saying, okay, if
It's,
you live
where
in
are
this,
we going? We're going that
if
way.
you live in this orange area, and they came by overnight and spray painted it orange.
That's a good sign. A bad sign.
Just get out of the house in the morning and start knocking it down. Get your stuff out.
And don't knock it down if you're on the edge of the orange area, because the frontage road has to be many things, but it must be straight. It has to go right alongside the highway, which is not yet to be built. So we want it to be straight as an arrow. If you're over here, don't knock down, or over there, don't knock down your house until you're absolutely certain that the frontage road is coming your way.
Well, what they're finding too, it's a very interesting phenomenon. They're finding that people who have houses that are outside the orange zone are pushing their houses into
Into
the
the
orange zone,
No,
so,
that's a very Spolpakian thing to do.
so that they can get the $50 off the government for knocking their own house down.
That's part of the Spolpakian national spirit. Yes, they will help to build the road, but when it comes to the financing the frontage road, they want that $50.
They want that $50, man. That $50 means something in Spolpakia. Luckily, inflation hasn't hit there yet this year, and they are asking people to vacation in Spolpakia. There's a whole vacation Spolpakia campaign.
They don't have mountains. They don't have an ocean. Do they have lakes? No, they were going to build a lake.
Well, they do because the snow melt is coming down.
Speaking of the snow melt, in a real country, Yosemite, they have closed Yosemite in this month, in a sunny month, because the snow melt is so extreme that whole area is in danger of flooding. There's more snow there than God ever intended to put in Yosemite. He had an over delivery, and then he ordered more. I think it's the god of snow. And now it's heating up and it wants to melt, and that whole area, Fresno, the 99, the Central Valley, and the area around the Merced River, look out, here it comes. The greatest snow melt in memorable times.
You want water?
You wanted water. I sent water.
do yourself a favor and don't sit there crying about it. Sit there and figure out a way to put it into tanks and bottles so that you can have it.
Do something sensible with it.
Yeah, do something with it so that when it comes down that mountain, you can collect it up into tanker trucks or something and hold on to it.
See, are you listening, Spalpaki? When you get your lifetime snowfall, don't just let it melt like that because it'll flood the frontage road.
Oh, they don't. No, they when they had a record snow record
Snowfall.
snow there this year. And so what they did is they put a treaty together with one of their neighboring countries, and they got gas from one country, the quinine from another country, and vodka from another country. And so they're capturing the water up in glasses and making gin and tonics.
Champagne flutes.
Stealing them up and putting them in trucks so that they'll have drinks for New Year's Eve.
There used to be a drink at Trader Vic's. I don't know if they still have it. It was in their menu called the Colonel's Big Opu. Opu is a Hawaiian word for stomach. The Colonel's Big Stomach. And it was a champagne, it was a beer flute, a tall beer glass, kosher salt around the rim, half gin, half champagne. You had a couple of those and you were angry, but you were also a little pissed off at the same time. It was this combination of, the gin's working on me, but I'm still happy because the pain's working too. But
there's
still,
a lot to be said for gin.
I'm harboring these resentments that the champagne has made me this happy because the gin has made me this angry. Anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for gin when it comes to mind-altering situations.
If you're into day drinking, that would be one I would suggest in the sun today. I personally don't partake, so I'm not endorsing this in any way. I'm just putting it out there that the Colonel's Big Opu is some kind of a drink.
You know, Mikey, I haven't gone day drinking in like years, man. I'm almost thinking that one of these days, pretty soon,
you're going to do it anyway.
It might just be on the card,
Well, make arrangements for your designated driver because you're going to have some sort of that'll be the weekend you get the Bentley.
Yeah.
I know you'll be in the mood to drive it yourself. No, Vinnie, give me the keys.
Oh, no. If I got the Bentley, well, no, if I'm going day drinking, I'm going to Uber it. I'm not taking the car. I'm too old to go to jail.
I cannot serve.
I'm not gonna be good in jail. My stomach won't take it. I'll be sick in jail. There's no way.
I'll tell Jack McCoy, but you know how he negotiates. Depends what kind of a mood he's in. If he's thinking about his father, he's going to be pissed off. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough road.
If he's going the what would Adam do route, that's the other thing.
Adam would have lunch with the most influential person involved with the case and tell him it was time to fold up the tent.
Listen, it's time to fold up the tent there, boy.
Yeah. And when Adam tells you that, you know that you're in more trouble than you thought. Your good friend takes you to lunch, and it's not good news.
Oh, what was the line I heard last night? Oh, I heard a great line last night. I think it was Jimmy Kimmel said that Donald Trump has committed enough crimes that he could be a guest star on every Law and Order. That he could cover them all.
I like the scene where Donald Trump fires his attorney and decides to defend himself.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'd like. Yeah. I mean, that would make must-see TV.
Nothing makes him madder than having to pay $5,000 in contempt of court charges. God, he hates that. $5,000 now? No, you don't have to pay me now, but until you do pay me, you'll be staying with us.
No, but you know how he wouldn't defend himself. He would go out and he would go around the TV at night and find like 3 or 4 PI attorneys. Like the guys who are doing the have you been to Camp Lejeune, or do you know somebody who has? You may be entitled to,
to be assigned to one of 20 law firms currently suing the government.
The couple, I believe, long dead, who are standing there for the mesothelioma commercial.
Yeah,
the guy has the Navy hat on. He looks like he's actually dead already.
And he can barely nod.
Yeah, he could.
I'm good. That thing
Yeah,
saved my
and
life.
she's just counting the money.
It
You know,
comes in the mail. What are you gonna do?
it just it just comes in the mail. It's made our life a living hell. When I get out of here, I'm heading to San Martin, and Billy there is going right back to bed. Thank you, Mrs. Thelioma.
It's been a fabulous disease. Well, I'm looking forward to the Warrior game tonight. They started against the revitalized Sacramento Kings with 2 losses that were demoralizing, followed by 2 wins, which were invigorating. And now we come to the money game number 5. Let's see who's got the goods. And the Kings are no longer the Cowtown AAA representatives of the NBA. And you know who you can thank for that? The Warriors coaching staff, which has gone there over the years, one after the other, to bolster their style of play, their choice of players, and their attitude on the court. And the Kings are nobody's fool. I think they're tougher than the Lakers right now.
Who was their head coach?
The guy came from the Warriors. I can't think of it right now. If you saw his face, you'd recognize it. I should have prepared, but
Yeah,
all I wrote down was Kings.
yeah. Is Terry Stotts still
No,
involved there at all?
no,
No, huh?
no.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I hate to say it because I know everybody I know loves the Warriors, but if the Kings won, would it be so bad?
Yeah, it'd be pretty bad.
Why?
It would be pretty bad.
My
It's
nephew, who lives in Sacramento, winds up going to a lot of Kings games.
You know who, I'm gonna get that coach's name for you in a minute. Mike Brown. Mike Brown is the
Oh
head
yeah,
coach.
Mike Brown. Okay, Mike Brown from Indiana, and
Yeah,
and
this could and from the Warriors. He was very successful sitting right next to Steve the whole time. I can't let's see, what would it be like? It'd be like Pittsburgh beating the Yankees in the World Series.
well, it
That's how
happens
they
every
would feel
once in
about
a
it.
while.
And Pittsburgh's doing well enough right now that could happen. The Yankees have to play better, but Pittsburgh right now looks like a young, exciting team.
They have, they lost out on one of their young stars, O'Neal Cruz, um, broke his ankle, and I
He'll be
think
out
he's
for the
going to be
year.
out at least for the for well, at least to the All Star break and probably beyond. Um,
That can be a tough rehab.
yeah, which is
Plus, I found out on my own research that breaking a bone hurts. It really hurts.
yes, breaking a bone. Yeah, no, there's no good to breaking the bone.
There's no upside.
Yeah, there's nothing you get from breaking the bone that is that's any good.
And the fact that Pittsburgh is a team on the rise is a bit of a surprise because they're sort of committed to not a bargain operation. They want their operation to be a bargain for everybody, including the owners who get to enjoy the profit without spending as much as the other teams do. They say, look at baseball. There's so many teams. These guys are overpaying for their product, and we just won't do it.
It is
Another example of that was the A's, who now don't have the fact that they're the poor second cousins of Oakland. They're going to have to go to Las Vegas and be a competitor, and I don't know if they're prepared for that.
yeah, we haven't talked about that, have we? The A's moving out of Oakland. What a sad, just a sad thing, man.
Is it sad when the A's move, the Warriors move, and the Raiders move? Is it sad, or do you see more than just a pattern there? That was everybody. We had 3
Well,
teams. We got nothing.
I mean, let's face it. People don't want to go to Oakland. I mean, it's been like that for years. Um, People there's a fear of going over to Oakland. You're going to get, we used to, when I used to go over to the Coliseum, you used to park across the street by that factory that was right there.
Hagenberger Road.
Now the other side of Hagenberger, whatever that avenue is, that's on the north side of the Coliseum, and you could park your car in that street, walk across the parking lot. If you didn't have a press pass, and walk in, and it was safe. Now you do that, your tires will be gone, your car will be gone. You can't do that anymore. And even if you
Well,
park your car
Oakland
in
changed
the
a
lot,
lot during the pandemic and the real estate craze. A lot of the locals for Oakland just got moved out by gentrification of an amazing quality. A lot of people just had to go.
right? And what they did is they, a lot of these. Listen, the greener pastures for the Oakland A's were gonna be in Las Vegas. They were gonna get more out of Las Vegas than they
Yeah.
were gonna get out of Oakland. I blame the Giants. I mean, I think this is totally the Giants on the Giants. Um, you're familiar with the deal that the Giants cut many years ago that gave them San Jose as a territory and effectively blocked the A's from moving to San Jose. And the Giants management over the years has been uncooperative with the A's in the A's trying to move to San Jose.
And the
And
Giants have not double A, but single A.
single A. I think it's a single A. San Jose Bees are down there, and the Giants have been uncooperative with letting them, giving them the rights to that area, and that would have solved the problem. 1, 2, 3. You could have had the San Jose A's, San Francisco Giants. They would have been 40 miles from each other. And you would have kept the two baseball teams in.
Now, was San Jose willing to pay the freight for
Yeah, San
that
Jose
Oakland
was
wasn't?
San Jose was from time to time it said we would explore a ballpark, but we can't explore anything until the Giants give you the rights to negotiate. They can't even negotiate with them.
No. Well, that rivalry had days when the A's had the upper hand. They were the more
Yeah.
popular team. The Giants were the ones in the skids, financially unsuccessful, financially insecure, ownership without vision or intent or a fortune for that matter. And they still had Candlestick Park and they were stuck with it. And so there was a lot of changes that had to be made in terms of the type of professional attitude that a team has to have toward. Did the Giants have management and ownership like the Dodgers? No, they did not. Did they have ownership and management like any other competitive team on the West Coast? They were better than San Diego, although San Diego now is spending more money. But of all the teams on the coast, there were a lot of unfinished business. The Angels never quite got their ownership right. Artie Moreno is considered to be sort of a joke in Southern California. The A's, the Mariners, the minor league system for the West Coast. There wasn't a strong team out here except sometimes the Dodgers and sometimes the Giants, and everybody else was the second division. Hope to play well next year. I hope we have a team next year. I hope we have balls and bats.
Well, but I don't think that was. I don't think the A's ever said to the Giants, "We're going to stop you from doing
No,
anything."
they didn't have. No, they had a psychological edge. They didn't
Yeah,
have
I
a
don't think there was
position.
any. I don't think there was any time where Haas or any of the people that owned the A's over the past 25 years said to the Giants, we'll step in the way of you building a stadium. As a matter of fact, I think they encouraged the Giants to build a stadium in San Francisco because they thought it would be good for them. They thought it would be a thing that would help them get a stadium.
And that's the sort of stadium they had on the drawing board, but they never really could pull the trigger on the organization that was ever going to pay for it.
Well, they had organizations. They had The guys down there was a group of people down in by the Dumbarton Bridge
Hmm.
that wanted to build a stadium. This was probably 15, 20 years ago. They wanted to build a new stadium and complex down by the Dumbarton Bridge. They owned the land. They were willing to, the A's were willing to kick in some money. The Santa Clara County was willing to kick in some money. And from what I understand, the Giants blocked it.
How do they have the rights to block that?
Because they own the rights
To that
in Santa
territory?
Clara County.
Ah, okay.
It's not just that they own San Jose; they own Santa Clara County. So you have a situation where the perfect place for the Oakland Athletics would be somewhere
South of
down,
Oakland.
near,
Yeah.
either near the 49ers stadium or near downtown, downtown San Jose would be perfect.
Or next to the Tesla factory in Fremont.
Yeah, a little hard to get to, but yet not bad. Is that in Santa Clara, or is that
Contra
still in
Costa.
Alameda?
It could be Alameda, Contra Costa, Alameda, I guess.
Yeah. I think the ideal thing for them would be downtown San Jose. But they dicked around so long, they came up with the plan for downtown Oakland by Jack London Square, which I thought would have been a great plan, but it looked like you were just going to stick a whole bunch more people in a place where,
You
I
didn't
don't
need them.
know, it looked pretty crowded to begin with.
I don't know if Jack London Square is a destination that it once was. I think that probably a tired concept, except of course for all the people that have their boats there.
Yeah, but it was, they would have built a BART station right there. I think they have one close, but they would have extended it and built a BART station. You could go directly from the BART station into the stadium, uh, pretty much like you can now.
That would be helpful.
You know, so that would be a good thing. And that BART station now, goes all the way to San Jose, doesn't it?
Yeah, and on the other side, how successful are the Golden Knights of the hockey league and the Raiders of the NFL? I don't much like the Raiders stadium, but it is new, and it may have amenities that I didn't see. It's a little too much like Darth Vader for me, but the welcoming that professional sports has had in Vegas has been pretty good so far. I don't know how the fan base is. I don't know how the future looks. But here comes baseball, so they've become a major league city now, without any doubt, with football, hockey, and baseball.
Well, when they talked to, when I was down there, they had talked about bringing a team there, and of course, the knock was, well, it's a gambling city, and you'll never get a team here because of the gambling. The owners didn't want to put an NBA team there. Football didn't want to put it. They were going through the Art Schlichter thing. They didn't want to put a team
Now,
there.
now they're taking their part off the top of the gambling. They're
Right.
skimming.
Now that they're not ashamed to take their money, Vegas becomes a great place. And, the growth of Vegas in people that aren't involved in the gaming industry, the people that do other things besides work in the gaming industry, the transient part of the town is less now than it used to be.
Yeah.
In the 80s, when you went to Vegas, basically you had a lot of people that worked in casinos and a lot of people that worked at the Air Force Base. And those are two of the most transient populations
They weren't
that
going
you
to be
have.
there long. Yeah.
Yeah, so people would come, stay for a couple of years, and go. Come, stay for a couple of years, and go. Except for the older people who would come and stay longer, work in the casinos, do this, do that. It was and the over the 90s, really the 2000s, they had a boom down here. People
They
started
sure
looking
did.
at it as a place to go and get inexpensive housing, and people moved there and they stayed there.
Yep.
And now it's a city besides the gambling. And so there's enough people there, enough businesses there to turn around and say, we'll buy season tickets, we'll buy advertising, we'll buy the things that you need to make a team viable. And it won't all be casinos.
Otherwise, there'd be nobody there really to fall in love with the team and to collect the cards and to be a kid with a glove on the rail before the game. Vegas has to have that too to be a baseball town, to be a professional town.
Well, and another thing that I think they ought to do, if this all comes to fruition, is they ought to take a page from Alaska and once or twice a year do a midnight baseball game. You have enough people who get off of work at 11:30
Start at
or,
midnight, first
or
pitch at
12
midnight.
o'clock, start a game at midnight a couple of times a year, so that the shift workers, the third shift workers, or the second shift workers can come to a game.
Could be quite a rowdy crowd. Could be a fun crowd.
Where you going? I'm going to a ball game. It's 11:30. Yeah, they start at midnight.
Yeah, I don't want to be late.
I think if you could get the league to approve that, that'd be kind of a cool thing because you wouldn't be the only place. They have the midnight baseball game every year in Alaska, Fairbanks. Now you'd be able to have it in Las Vegas.
Well, I like the idea of the A's finding success somewhere. I'm sorry that Oakland doesn't have them, but the good question now is what is Oakland going to do with a football baseball stadium combination and a basketball stadium? They've got an empty basketball hall that was the past home of the Warriors. They've got the Coliseum where the A's and the Raiders played, and they got no tenants. They can't just sit there. What are they going to do with that?
Well,
how about Day on the Green? Remember that?
Yeah. They're either going to knock it down or knock it partially down. Maybe knock Mount Davis down, return it back to being a 50,000 seat or 40,000 seat ballpark. Maybe not even that, not shave the top end of it off and do like they did to Kezar Stadium. Turn it into a high school stadium.
Yeah.
I could see him doing that. The Coliseum, I don't know what, the arena, I don't know what the hell they're going to do with that. I don't see a lot of acts getting booked in there now, are there?
Not to my, I really don't even know where the big acts book. There's Bill Graham Hall in the city. Still got the Fillmore.
Well, at the Chase. That's where Springsteen went or is going.
He leaves them with does the county own that land and those facilities for baseball and basketball?
I believe so, yeah.
All right. Up to you, Alameda.
The way things are going, they could make it a jail.
For political prisoners?
For all kinds.
Hey, how in this poll that was taken the other day fascinated me. 70% of people saying they didn't want Joe Biden to be the president, but if they ran against Donald Trump, that they wanted him to win. And that, of course, is the type of early numbers that may give an indication of where the country's going, but will change as election time draws closer. What I want to know is the Republicans at least have a couple names that they can draw upon as their favorite if Donald Trump wasn't running. DeSantis is one of them. Nikki Haley's another one. I don't know who's going to run between now and then that's even going to be more distasteful. Rudy Giuliani should run for president just to be interesting.
Well, Asa Hutchinson announced this morning.
But do the Democrats have anybody on that list?
Do the Democrats?
I see no one on that list.
Robert Kennedy, what is it, the third or
I'm going to say that he's not a strong candidate.
Yeah. And what's that woman that always consistently runs now? Um, I can't remember her name. Yeah.
You don't mean Senator Warren, do you?
No,
Elizabeth
no, no, no,
Warren?
no. No, I don't think. I mean, I think they're solid. Fall in line Democrats. They're gonna.
And if you watch the political side of the news and on the left, if you watch CNN and MSNBC, they don't have a candidate that they're pushing besides Biden. Nobody has a number two guy that they think, ooh, in the right conditions, if Biden missteps, if Biden says the wrong thing, Biff Jiggerman's going to be the man. There is no number two. And I don't think Kamala Harris qualifies as number two in the sense that she doesn't seem to be a viable candidate. She has to run as VP to be part of the same ticket, to be part of the unity. She's not challenging Biden, and no one else is either, for that matter. So I wondered where that number, why the number is so high if there's no other candidate, and why you would still vote for Biden if he runs against Trump, because he's most certainly going to run against Trump or someone equally as distasteful.
I Yeah, I don't know who the Democrats would put forward. The people that the Republicans are putting out there. The thing that strikes me about the whole thing is you have two people that are candidates for president. Excuse me, that are front runners, and like 80% of the people in both parties don't want them to run.
And have no other suggestion. They're cursing the darkness without so much as a flashlight or a candle. And that's the part that mystifies me. They don't say why should Michael Knight run for president when we know that Vinnie would be a better candidate. Vinnie's our man. That makes sense to me. But to say we don't want you to run and then what? I don't know. You figure it out.
Well, so far, who they've presented is not impressive. I mean, the only one that they've presented, and he isn't even official, he hasn't presented himself, is DeSantis. Now,
Yeah,
Hutchison gets into it this morning. Nikki Haley gets into it. I think if it weren't going to be Trump, if they were going to somehow convince Trump that he should not run, that he can't run, if something were to happen were to happen to him where he would not be able to run, if he would get convicted on any of these charges, and it would make it difficult for him to run, I would have to think that the Republicans would line up behind Nikki Haley.
really?
Yeah, I think out of everybody I'm seeing that they got up, and then name me somebody else you think is more toward the
Qualified
mainstream.
or has a chance to actually win. She's never won anything besides her state posts as senator, and her wishy-washy relationship with Trump is going to put her in a bad PR situation when the mud starts to get slung. She's going to receive a lot more than she's going to be able to sling.
But she's the only candidate that I look up there and say she can bring people from outside the Republican Party. She can bring Democrats. She can bring moderates.
As a woman, female candidate who supports abortion control,
Well, now she's backing off of that. If she backs off of it and she's true about it, I think she's got something. I think she then represents um, a
uh,
healer.
I don't think she'll ever get the party nod with those conditions.
I don't know, Michael. The party is going to be desperate. The
They're
party
desperate
thinks
now.
the party thinks that I can't imagine that there are many people in the Republican Party that think that Trump can beat Biden.
No. Now they're going to say he can, and they're going to believe he can to stay in good graces. But
Right.
when did the rats leave the ship?
Well, the rats don't leave the ship. That's the problem. So now you set yourself up for 4 more years of looking back at another election that Trump will most definitely say screwed him.
We're going to definitely get it together for the midterms. No, you're not. Well, 20. How about the year 3000? Chances are we're going to be there. Look out for us.
I don't think that the Republicans are going to win anything with Trump as their standard bearer. He'll win the nomination. He'll get the nomination because
Will
there's
they
enough.
even have a convention?
Yeah,
Conventions used to be such fun. But are they going to have a platform this year?
no platform.
No. Are there going to be speeches and bands and stuff
Yeah,
like that?
speeches and bands, and Kimberly Guilfoyle will be up there screaming at people. They may
That
as well
might not
be
be a
doing
good
what
idea.
Naples last year.
That might not be a good idea with Kimberly. Let's think twice about that one.
Rudy will be out there with his hair dye.
Yeah,
Falling down the
that's a good
side of it,
look.
because it's all the same players. It's all the same people, except you don't have Pence, and nobody's going to miss Pence.
If he doesn't show up, who's going to miss him, right? I mean, it's not like a card game where you got to have somebody in that chair. There's no need for him to show up at all.
No, they may be the first people to run without a platform and without a vice presidential candidate. We don't need a vice president.
In
We
fact,
got
where is it?
Donald.
Do you know where their convention is? The GOP convention this year? I know
Is
Nashville. Nashville told them no.
Yeah, is it Chicago or is that the Democrats?
I don't know.
Maybe Memphis. But, I have to see. But there's
They have yet to choose. Memphis, maybe. I don't think they've announced it yet because they were told they're still pissed off at Nashville for telling them no. And so rather than picking another city, they're concerned about revenge. Sound familiar?
oh yeah, I knew it was picked. Yeah, Milwaukee.
For who?
For the Republicans. The Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin is planned to be the site of the 2024 Republican National Convention, July 15th to 18th, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Can I get some beer and cheese over here, do you think?
We'll have to send them all Usinger's sausages.
You singer, I singer, we all singer.
Oh, they're so good, though, Mikey.
You like them
Those
well done
Usingers,
and
man.
with mustard and a nice roll?
Get it right there in the Usinger store.
Now I'm hungry. We're going to have to cut this short.
I think I might have I'm not sure here if I have a Usinger.
Discount coupon?
I'm wondering if I have. Huh. No, I guess I don't. I thought I had a.
I can tell you the reason that I'm wearing a hat that says the city on it and it brandishes the Warriors logo. It's because since I've been wearing this hat, the Warriors have not lost a game and the Giants have not lost a game. 4 in a row they've won. So I can't take it off. I can't take it off now. They're both playing again tonight. We're baseball. I've got the Cardinals. Basketball. We got the Kings. So I'm going to be a busy dude tonight. 7:00.
I'm proud.
Hey, by the way, I didn't even say anything. Congratulations, you New York Jets. You got a quarterback.
We got trouble is what we got.
He showed up with a Jets sweatshirt and walked around with a coach and saw the facility and said football stuff and looked like a football guy. You think you got problems? He's going to wear number 8. Joe Namath said he can have number 12 if he wants it. And instead of taking number 12, he's going to wear number 8, which is the number he wore when he played for the Cal Bears in Berkeley.
He is going to walk into he's going to find out the difference between the New York media and the Milwaukee, Green Bay,
Yeah.
Madison, Wisconsin media, and he's going to find it out real quick.
No more revealing your deepest thoughts on Joe Rogan's show. That'll be considered a bad idea. That would be bad form.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he works out. I hope he gets the Jets some wins. I hope he takes them to the Super Bowl. To be honest with you, but
Aye, aye. Is it I or is it I?
I think it's I mean, listen, at least the Jets will be fun to watch.
Yeah.
You
Every
know, because
game.
you won't know when he's gonna just go nuts. You won't know. His post game media conferences will be watched by millions.
Just within the confines of the city and state of New York.
Yeah, yeah, he will. Yeah,
And
he will.
would it be fair? Would it be fair to say the Jet fans have suffered enough, and they're actually looking forward to more suffering because they're used to it?
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, Jet fans. You know, you don't. I mean, think of the quarterbacks that they've had there and have still not gotten them to the Super Bowl. I
It's
mean,
been a long dry spell since Joe Willie.
yeah. So you don't count on anything. You hope and you pray, and it's unfortunately like all of these shootings we have. You hope and you pray,
Thoughts and
uh,
prayers. Is it that
blood
bad?
and prayers, but nothing ever happens. And it's just it's going to happen again somewhere down the line. Somebody will do a
Turn into
dirty
a
deed, and you know that the Jets somewhere down the line will figure out how to lose and not get into the playoffs.
snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Well, I don't even think they get that close to victory. They never see victory. I mean, even if they have a season where they win 8 games, 9 games, they do it in the sloppiest way possible. I don't know what's wrong with that team. It just seems to be a cursed team. Maybe maybe the Mets put the home plate and the bases over good places, and the Jets put the goal poles into the ground at Indian burial sites. It's the only thing I can think of.
There's one team that I can point to as a quick turnaround when no one expected it, and that's the University of Colorado Buffaloes, who, with Deion Sanders as their new head coach, had a tradition there called spring football, like most schools, but no one goes to the Colorado games. They'd be lucky to get 2,000 people last year. This year, on a frozen day with the snow falling, they sold out completely. 45,000 people there to watch spring football and to watch Deion Sanders and to applaud his every move. He conducted the band. He helped with the kickoff. He led the cheers. He has a shirt that says "I ain't hard to find," and he's Coach Prime. That's what they call him. And the fan base has suffered for so long with no expectation of a quick recovery. You can't do a quick recovery in the Pac-12. Look how long it took Oregon State to become respectable. And now, in one quick fell swoop, the portal has brought in players from Arkansas, from Alabama, from his past school, from all-star players from all around the area, including Colorado. And he's telling his kids, "You're not going to make this team. I would jump into the portal. See if you can get a job somewhere else. We got a better team than that now. You're not going to play here because
Donald,
you're not as good as the ones I'm bringing in from all over the country who want to play for me."
you know,
And that now they haven't won a game, so I can't give them all the credit, but they've won the hearts and minds, and that's a big start.
well, it's a whole lot better than having a bunch of people sitting around talking to each other in the stadium when they come out and they cheer for you,
Yeah,
even though you
right.
haven't won a game. It makes life a whole lot better. I would say as a first year coach, if you know you got him in your hand, now you got to do the things to keep him there. But it'll be Colorado hasn't been the same since Rick Neuheisel left.
No one's been the same since Rick Neuheisel left.
Yeah, nobody's been the same since Rick Neuheisel left. Very true. Um, so I wish Dion a lot of luck. I've come to really like Dion. I
He's
didn't like
lighting
him a lot when he was a player, but I did come to a point where I kind of did like him and dig him and understand what he was about. And he's not a bad guy.
No, he's an inspirational player.
Yeah, he's not a bad guy, and his love of football. I mean, he doesn't have to be. He could be hosting a game show. He could be, doing movies and stuff like that. I mean, he's got that cachet to him.
Yep, he's got that personality.
And instead, he chooses to do the 25-hour a day life of a football coach.
And it's hard to be as self-confident and as outgoing as that guy is and still be lovable.
Right.
But he's got that combination of
Right.
ultimate confidence, but you still say, I'm with you, instead of
Yeah.
saying, who's this blowhard?
He has the ability to reach down to that number 55 guy on the team and make him feel good about being there.
Make him believe.
Make him believe. Make him buy into what he's selling.
So we'll see if we get some wins out of it. I saw a lot of bad football during the time that my daughter went to the University of Colorado. Not bad in the sense that they didn't have any talent and they weren't going to give it their all. Just that the other teams were better. Always. They had talent, but they didn't have enough to stand up against Kansas State or Iowa State or Texas or any of the teams that they used to play before they became part of the Pac-12. And when they became part of the Pac-12, they went right to the stellar and got very comfortable there. And that's a bad situation that's hard to cure.
Well, hopefully, listen, they're going to have their opportunity. When does UCLA and USC go after this year?
I think so. I don't even know where they're going.
Big Ten, I thought.
There's going to be the Big 10 or the Big 12. Does two people get
Big
kicked
12.
out?
Well, it might be the Big Ten, but we got 12 teams. Or I think the Big 12 might have might have 12 teams already.
Well, the Pac-10 will need two more, so give us a ring. You want to play in the West, even though your school's in the East. We'll make allowances. We're gentlemen. We can come to an agreement.
We'll have to do something. Yeah, no, it's interesting to see where they're going to go or what the plan is. Yeah, they're leaving the Pac-12 conference for the Big Ten on August 2nd, 2024.
See ya. Now, no other teams since that announcement was made. The remaining 10 teams in the Pac-10 have not made any agreements to change their team to another league or to affiliate with another. What's the word I'm looking for? Conference, and that's been good news, which makes me think that two good teams could come to take their place, and it might be a very viable conference and remain a viable conference.
Well, I mean, it depends on which way they want to go. I think that San Diego State is probably a pretty good bet to join the Pac-12.
Fresno State's a better team.
And I think probably Fresno State would be in there. There's also a talk that Montana State, which has a pretty decent team, and there's another
Idaho, Wyoming.
Yeah, I think Idaho maybe has been talked about. There's also talk that they drop the Cougs.
Drop them?
Drop the Cougs. Let the Cougs go play in another conference.
The Mountain West.
Yeah, I think that's the one most mentioned. I don't like that at all. I think the Cougs
don't like that at all. No.
have proven to be have proven to be
And what sort of solution is that? You lose 2 teams from LA who just walk out on you, and your solution is to kick off another team?
well, some people will see it as a chance to reshape the Pac-10. I don't, or the Pac-12. I don't particularly like all this reshape. They did that 7 years ago, 8 years ago, with the Big East, and the Big 12, and a couple other conferences come in and took some teams out of the Big East. And the Big East said, okay, well, you take those teams. We got these teams. We'll plug them in, and we're going to be just fine. And you're not going to have a tournament in the Garden. And you're not going to, we
Right.
got the tournament in the Garden. We got that fine, thank you. Go have your tournament over in freaking New Jersey somewhere. Or go out to Queens and have your tournament. But nobody gets the Garden. We got the Garden.
And that means something.
And the Big East has fared, I think, quite well.
I think it was Miami who left the Big East and went to the SEC. Is that right?
I think Miami left the Big East. Pitt left the Big East to go to the ACC. And I think there were 2 others that left.
Not that anybody cares where Miami plays football these days, which is hard to believe.
Yeah, well, my roommate does. But again, it was and they have that on again, off again thing with Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Where Notre Dame plays basketball in the Big East.
But football, they're independent.
But they're independent. I think, did West Virginia leave the Big East too?
That I don't know.
Yeah, I think West Virginia might have left the Big East too. I have to take a look now. Yeah, I think West Virginia.
You happen to see the interview with Abby Grossberg, the producer from the Tucker Carlson show that was on there?
Did. Yes, I did.
It was like she was describing the HR department at some of the radio stations I've worked, where they were agents of management, and you couldn't take your problem to H&R because they would blow the whistle on the whistleblower. You'd be fired before you got back to your desk after making your report. A casual, hostile environment in every element of the workday. And that's why Fox News lied to its audience, paid $20 million to Tucker Carlson to do it successfully. And that's why they had to pay $780 million to a company they lied about, and there's more to come. And their employees suffered as much as the truth did, as it turns out.
Pretty crazy stuff, man. I mean, it sounded like it was just an intolerable place to work.
The same thing happened to the properties that were owned in Great Britain by the wonderful News Corporation. They had the exact same horrendous working conditions and vindictive management and lying individuals who were hacking the royal family and saying they weren't. There's a pattern of behavior that comes from that type of management that is vicious and negative and very dark. It's a dark, hostile place to work.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, I used to work in gas stations that were like that.
The hostile gas station environment
in trucking companies that
just were like that. Black, negative, hostile personality.
But I see some crazy stuff go on in radio, television stations, but nothing like that. Nothing like that. But I guess that's a whole different world from what I've worked in. It's
somehow it's number one because that dark approach to First Amendment rights and controlling the news found an audience that wanted its news to be controlled, that wanted its message to be cockeyed. They wanted the truth to be left behind in favor of rumor and innuendo, and that's what they've got. That's what the number one slot has given them: a populace and an audience that can't tell the lies from the truth and prefers the lies, and a corporation that's making millions of dollars and paying its hosts $20 million a year to lie, confuse, and obstruct the truth, and encourages them toward violence and chaos and unrest. Paying top dollar for it.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I scratch my head, Michael. I look at these things and I just say to myself, what in the world? Where do we go with this?
How do you stop it? Yeah, how do you stop this train?
How do you put the brakes on? Or can you? Or is this the way it's going to be from now on?
For some time, it's going to be this way.
Yeah.
There was the yellow journalism of the competitive New York papers when Hearst was beginning. Yellow journalism meaning they just made up stories to push their political agenda and allowed them to back candidates for office that they would control because they were responsible for their election. Then gradually that faded away, but that was the newspaper. It got replaced by the yellow journalism of television and all news.
It looked like Citizen Kane.
That's exactly what it does.
I mean, it's almost like they looked at the movie Citizen Kane.
We can do that.
I said, we can do that. We're not just going to report the news. We're going to form the news. We're going to make the news in our image.
You're already going to know what you think about this story before I tell you about it. It has to do with Florida. You're going to love this story.
We're going to whip the people up into a frenzy over something that people shouldn't even care about.
We can start a war. We can stop a war. And just to prove it, we're going to do both. We're going to start this one and stop that one. Watch me.
And we'll have the troops move from there over there.
Because we're going to need them over there. We just started a war.
We needed to have that war with people. I don't know, Mikey.
I think that's it for today. That's our message for today. We're stopping that war and starting this one.
The teams that left the new Big East Conference now consist of Georgetown, Marquette, Villanova, Providence, DePaul, St. John's, Seton Hall, and Connecticut.
Bunch of basketball schools.
Who plays as a football independent. And, yeah, well, it's always predominantly been a basketball league. And at one time, the conference consisted of Connecticut, Rutgers, Louisville, Cincinnati, Syracuse, Pittsburgh, Notre Dame as a basketball team. Boston College, Virginia Tech, Miami, West Virginia, who left for the Big 12, Georgetown, Marquette, Villanova, Providence, DePaul, St. John's, Seton Hall, which all stayed in the Big East, and Temple and South Florida, who left for the American Athletic Conference, along with Cincinnati, Louisville, Rutgers, and Connecticut. So Cincinnati goes to the Big 12 Conference in 2023. So they'll be playing USC and UCLA.
That'll be a good matchup in basketball terms.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what it if basketball's included, or it's they seem to be letting a number of these schools set up kind of independence as well.
What is today? A Wacky Wednesday? You know what we need? We need a Freaky Fractures Friday. That's what we need.
Yeah, we need a very comedic Friday. We need a Friday to put people in the mood of being in Friday.
How about 10 after 10? Should we start then?
I think we should start at 10 after 10, Mikey. And you be here. I'll be there. No. I'll be here.
Where will I be? Just tell me where you want me to be.
We'll have all the Spolpakians lined up on the proposed frontage road to say
In
a
fact,
prayer
it's going to be a
before they start
Spolpakia.
knocking down your houses.
It's a potluck Spolpakia meal where it's a tradition where you bring nothing to the potluck. You don't bring a pot. You don't bring any luck. You don't bring any food. You bring nothing. And people don't hang around for that long. It's a gathering. They look around. There's no food. There's no drink, and they leave. That's just like our show.
I would love to see the Russians bring out Navalny to work on the houses with those people.
Making more slave labor.
Give him a little slave labor, except that the Spolpakians will eventually hide him and get him out of the country.
They're good people.
The best.
They don't know everything they need to know about a frontage road, but they will learn great things when they build this first frontage road. Then they can build a highway right next to it, and they'll see that it was all meant to be.
The Great Spolpakian Construction Company has a motto.
First the frontage road, then greatness.
Nope. You don't have to know how to build it going in, but you'll know how to build it going out.
Spolpakia. It's an inspiration to me every day.
It's an amazing place. I just hope it doesn't get ruined in the elections.
Another one of their mottos is, we're shaped just like Kansas. Who knew?
Except we look different.
Except it's different over here.
We're shaped just like Kansas, except we look different.
Except it looks different over here.
Oh, man. All right. Right now, I could think that Jip DiCarlo is down in Spolpakia right now cutting radio commercials to sell fine Spolpakia lots with lakefront.
Yeah. Now, the lake is yet to be built, but, once they get the frontage road done, they're taking suggestions on where the lake should be and what it should be called. And should it have fish? Should they stock the lake, or should it just be fresh water?
And you could own this lake, that you can own your little property on this lake for $9.95 a month.
The 3 P's of buying a lake are price, price, and price.
Thank you, Jonathan.
If you don't have a lake, you can buy one for $9.99 a month. What's my price? Do you have a lake? No, $9.99.
Hello, this is Broadway Joe Namath. You remember me? I'm here to sell you an insurance policy.
I like it when he gestures with both hands. Thanks, folks.
Folks, this is the best move you'll ever make. You could go left or you could go right on this, but it's the best move you'll ever make. I know. I'm Joe Namath. I used to be in the Super Bowl.
I was there.
Long time ago.
Long time ago.
My willie worked when I was in the Super Bowl.
I had 2 knees. Now I got 1.
Now I got 1 knee, and Susie Colbert has to hold me up.
She's getting a little weary of that.
Yeah, she said 10 years ago she wanted to quit, but I wouldn't let her.
No.
I wouldn't let her because she's a good woman.
And, she's half Spolpakian. She's like Irish and Spolpakian.
Is she?
Yeah.
Well, then Namath fits right in with the whole Schlopakian move here campaign.
Well, they're going to name the frontage road. Somebody has to pay for it. It could be AT&T frontage road, for example, or Tesla used to be a guy. Now it's a car frontage road.
I'd want to get the family to pony up for the money.
Okay.
And if they don't like it, we name it Nicollet Avenue.
Done.
How much is that? Nicollet Avenue. How many you want?
You gotta. You want the T-shirt, or what are you doing with that?
Nicollet Avenue. Sometimes I crack myself up. All right, man. Let's catch up Friday if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise.
Is there going to be wine?
Yes. There'll be peace. There'll be love, and there'll be Manischewitz.
What a wine. See you, Ben.
See you, Mikey. Bye-bye.